Alright, so the investigation that I'm going to be doing is the effects of varying soil characteristics on temporal moisture content of the soil, or how long the soil holds its moisture. So you can kind of see here, there's a picture of an agricultural setting, the soil in an agricultural setting. And then here's a picture of a moisture content sensor that I'll hopefully be using something similar to that. So some motivation and background. Agricultural land has kind of a reputation for being prone to erosion, or that's kind of what people think of when they think of farmland when compared to other land. But it would be interesting to actually collect some quantitative data, some real data on it to see how they match up. The moisture properties of these different areas with the soil may affect other properties of the soil there, like how prone it is to runoff or its nutrient content. And then some background, soils can be classified by a system called the Unified Soil Classification System. It's commonly used to determine what group certain soils can be classified under. So the methods that I'll be using are here. The sample areas, like I kind of said before, I'll want to do a kind of agricultural setting, so I'll be doing a cornfield. And then I just want to kind of a virgin land area, so I'll be kind of getting that from Clinton State Park. And then just I want to throw in there the front lawn of my apartment to see how that compares. So the first thing I'll have to determine the classification of the soils using that system I talked about before. Pretty simple testing procedures to determine what group the soils fall under. Then we'll have to build or use an existing moisture content sensor to test the soils at each of the locations. And then I will have to go test the soils at those locations after a rainfall. And what I want to do is dig about 6 inches underground at each of the spots to keep it uniform, and then test the content there. And then I want to continue to test the content for days after that initial rainfall. So like I said, this is kind of just a little bit more about the areas that I want to test. So a farmland area, hopefully want to do a cornfield, which by now will probably look like that because it's been harvested. And then some virgin land. This is a picture of Clinton State Park, so I'll have to find an area like that, and then just kind of a grassy front lawn area. So then, like I mentioned before, I'll measure the soil moisture content at each of the locations, digging about 6 inches underground and doing that for a few days after a rainfall. So this is kind of just some hypothetical data representation here. These might be kind of what we'll look at. So, you know, at the beginning we'll have, right after the rainfall, we'll have a high moisture content in the soil. And then as time goes on, you know, it'll kind of drop off. And these other two are kind of the same things, you know, maybe a little slower drop off so it holds its moisture a little bit long, and then even slower. So, you know, we could see any of these graphs of the data for any of the locations. And like I said, it's just kind of hypothetical data.